Welcome to The SIP, the Solstice Innovations podcast. In each episode, we chat with industry experts and innovators in insurance and insurtech. Join us for insights on trends, technologies, and the stories driving our industry forward. Let's sip on knowledge together at The SIP. Hi, this is John Umstead with Solstice Innovations. On this episode of The SIP, our guest is Whitney Ricci of Ricci Insurance Group. Okay, Whitney, so let's go ahead and just get into some things here. First, let's start with you. What inspired you to go out on your own, and how did you carve out your own niche in such a competitive market?
Pretty much. So I was introduced to someone who worked in the insurance industry, and we got to talking, and I was really drawn to the fact that you could put down roots in your community, the flexibility of the scheduling, the uncapped earning potential, especially tied to how hard you work, how much you could make, was really attractive to me. And so after a stint of initially thinking that I wanted to be an agent for a big national company, I made the leap over and almost 11 years started a scratch agency.
Great. So control as well as just being part of a community.
Well, and actually, the community was a big surprise. I thought or being a part of my community locally, I didn't want to move all around the place. No, that was what that was about. But now, fast forward, I am in a wonderful professional community in the insurance industry that I didn't know existed really until only about 5 years ago. I started getting really involved, and it's been very rewarding.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people don't understand that aren't involved in insurance, it is a community, and it's pretty small.
Mhm.
Once you kind of get involved in the insurance world, you find that there are people all over the place that either you relate to or that you get to know,
Mhm.
and that you once competed against or you worked with or worked for. Or, it's
Well,
just
look, there's plenty of business to go around. I have a big abundance mindset when it comes to that. But when I was first starting out, like it was a little goofy. I remember the first time I qualified for an awards top performer trip. I was like, why am I going to go on vacation with my competitors? This makes no sense. And then I went on the trip and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody is incredible. And they want to talk about insurance all day and all night. And our poor significant others are over at the other end of the bar rolling their eyes. But it's wonderful. And especially, in those circles of other top performers, everyone is so generous. Everyone wants to talk shop and they want to share their best practices. They want to share what's working. They want to talk through difficulties that they're facing because we're all trying to take care of clients and trying to take care of our team and win.
Yeah, and speaking of talking shop, let's talk shop a little bit. So, what do you think it is that some carriers or agencies get wrong when it comes to building trust with policyholders, and how do you get it right?
Well, I think a lot of that is driven by their relationships with the agents. When they have a really strong relationship with the agents help manage the message to the policyholders. And as far as my personal experience with agents, where I think that they get that piece of the relationship wrong, when they focus at all about production and sales, that's when these are things are cyclical. You're not always going to be the hottest carrier in town. You're not always going to be the hottest agent in town for what they're trying to write at any given time. So that was the one positive that came out of a few years ago when the industry was on life support, full rock bottom. It really put us in a position where carriers didn't want to write business for the first time, and if they're not wanting to write business and we're not able to write business, what does our partnership look like then? And it forced us to show up mutually, in ways of advocacy, in ways of education, in ways of, what participated in a lot of pilot programs, like during that time of trying different things. And now that we're on the other side of it, it's kind of like you remember who was there for you then. So it's absolutely not about just sales numbers, production. As far as trust with policyholders, a lot of that, look, most policyholders have about two or less experiences with their carrier. They're going to have their onboarding process when they get their policy, and then they're going to maybe have a claim experience later. And so those two touch points, it's going to be ideally quiet other than those 2 points. So in the onboarding phase, we like to say, if it's a yes, give us a yes, it's going to stick. If it's going to be a no, give us a quick no. It's painful for clients when we go through all the stuff to write business, they get inspections, and then they come back and they cancel the policy, or they came back with repairs that maybe could have been disclosed if better questions were asked, better vetting on the front end. And then the claims, it's rare. We're so fortunate. It's, the biggest fake rumor that spread that people have terrible claims experiences all the time. That's just not true. Our clients, we have millions of dollars of claims every year. We talk to our people. Most people have very positive claims experiences. They just, when that happens, that's what they expect. So they're like, thanks, and they go on. When that's not what happens, or when they're promised sun, moon, and stars from a contractor and they think that an insurance claim is supposed to be hitting the jackpot, that's when things, kind of tend to go off the rails. But when we do have those complaints, we're going to take the folks that think that they should be winning the jackpot off of the table for the purpose of this conversation. It's communication. It's setting expectations, doing what you say you're going to do. And so sometimes there can be a little bit of a miss in that regard when they have that second potential interaction at claim time after the initial onboarding.
Yeah, the bad experience is the one that makes the headlines, right?
Right.
Nobody
goes on to say like, oh, I had a great. It's similar to your electrical bill, right? You paid for it, you expect it to work. You aren't like, yay, my lights turned on today. Let me go to Google to talk about it. But you better believe that if your power's out and you can't run your business, you're irate, and that's when people go and they want to complain.
Yeah. And so this next question kind of ties into a lot of what you just talked about. In fact, I think you probably at least partially answered the question, but let's talk about technology and the personal touch for a second. So, as technology advances, it's almost like you've got kind of two schools of thoughts in the insurance world. So insurance carriers that are looking to kind of bolster the experience or enhance the policyholder experience through technology. And then you have this other extreme, companies that really are just trying to, as much as they can to eliminate human interaction. And there are some policyholders that's perfectly fine with, right? But in either case, how do you balance that efficiency that you can gain through technology with personal service?
So I can speak to our experience of running a retail agency and serving policyholders directly. It comes down to, it's a tool for us. That's our philosophy. If there's a tool that can help us reach more clients more quickly with our messaging and our folks, we want to use it. If there's a tool that can help us complete a process more quickly, more efficiently, more accurately, we want to use that tool. We are constantly doing all the demos of all the things that are out there. We are drawn to work with carriers that are easier to work with for a lot of those reasons. But we've built nearly our whole book of business based on referrals. So our clients are very much people to us. They don't do business with us just because of the dollar at the bottom of a quote that we've presented to them. We very, very much are in the relationship business. So we try to remind the folks as we grow, as we add new people. I've hired 5 people in the last week. It's been a crazy, or we've onboarded 4 of the 5. We've got another guy starting next week. So, making sure that it's even like when we're building out our processes, we're like, here's the spirit of the workflow. Here's how we want to have impact and communicate with our client. And here is at the moment today, the tools that we use in the process that goes through. But there's still going to be if the rater changes, for example, or the e-signature platform changes, or there's still going to be we get the opportunity to bring on a new client. We want to establish rapport. We want to know how they heard about us. We want to take the time to talk about all the lines of business for their household. We want to qualify that lead. Our time is very valuable. We are not the agent for somebody who's going to call and be guarded with their information. They don't get to earn the time that it takes, which is not a small amount, for us to put together a proposal for their household with limited information and not knowing the price that we need to be in order to win the account. So like that piece, establish the rapport, qualify the lead. That's going to remain always in our our client's journey or sales cycle, whatever you want to call it, regardless of the tech tools that we're using. We do expect that those will be evolving as new options come out.
Great answer. And, as you're doing that, some policyholders, I'm sure come to you because they have to have the insurance, some because they know they should have it or, therefore want it. But in any case, insurance language can be kind of dull and complex. How do you turn that language into something that really resonates with the policyholder, whomever they may be, or how they got to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We love stories. We love examples. We always like to, when we're explaining any proposal, explain to clients, listen, the claims always happen in the gray. So here's how it's usually going to go, but allow us to give you a few cautionary tales, examples of how things have gone south, like for each line of coverage, or if there are any exclusions. We're really big on identifying all of the exclusions for clients and make sure that they're prepared in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yes, storytelling, classic marketing approach. That's really no different for you than any other business that's trying to
It's
reach.
funny. I know that storytelling is now tied with marketing, and I just think about it like being human. You're just
Yeah,
connecting to the person that you're trying to help. So it flows really naturally. It also helps in training new people because it helps them understand. And again, it makes it more human and more relatable and more memorable.
great point. So let's think about kind of the future. What kind of changes would you like to see in the way that carriers, brokers, even agents engage with customers, especially new homeowners that have maybe never experienced this before?
I think it goes back to in that onboarding, if it's going to be a no or if it's going to be a problem, tell it, tell us that quickly. Don't let us go so far down the rabbit hole. We still have carriers that have things that are not eligible to be placed with them that they don't ask about in their quoting or application process. And it's 2025. We shouldn't have a situation where I can have a wonderful new employee who's gone through training, who's going through the application, asking the client everything, have that policy get canceled because they didn't know about some obscure rule in their underwriting manual. That is really, I think that we can do better than that. And then, some of the wonderful advancements. I love during hurricane season, the carriers that push out the text messages that say, hey, you're in the cone of uncertainty. If we're here, if you need us, here's where you click to file a claim online. I remember from one year to the next, from when they weren't doing that to when the carriers were doing that, we had clients the prior year calling, had been on hold for hours trying to file claims, only to get with a person who's going to read off of a script of an intake form of the exact things the client could have filled out online. And that's an example. I do not think that there's any advantage of telling a person who's typing in information versus somebody putting it right in from their phone. And you got to keep in mind also, like, not everybody has cell service or internet, or so when they get it, to being able to just do it then is really, really nice. Also, some of the claim paying ability has been pretty cool. How quickly for small stuff they've been able to like send in pictures and then process EFT payments. I think that's really great.
Yeah, it's come a long way, and it's got a lot further to go. You think about like AI being incorporated when you have that claim.
Yeah.
All you want to do is get that claim reported.
Right.
And AI can really become an important part of that first notice of loss process as
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
So, if you were queen of the world, had a magic wand that you could wave, what would and there may be more than one, but what
I
would
do.
one thing be that you would change about the insurance industry?
Just one. I do have a little list.
That's okay if you
We
go through
actually,
a
this
list.
is a true story. We have a list for our team when they meet with marketing reps. It's like the ongoing wish list of the things we always want, and we're like, make sure to ask them about these things every time. But all right. But Queen of the World, if I could do one at a high level, okay, I would say I think that it still takes far too long when let me back up. As an independent agent, one of the big values that we are providing to our clients is that we work with a variety of different carriers, and it still takes a really long time to vet through all of them, to get the quotes, then cross-referencing underwriting guides. And that really seems a little overly complicated for the technology that exists in the world today. It seems like we should be able to get to the proposals from everybody and a quick no on the ones that don't want it a lot more quickly than we can do now. So that would be my wish, to be able to take the information in one time and universally send it out and be able to very quickly know that this is the best option for the client. This is an accurate rate. You don't have to cross-reference. My agency has a carrier nuance sheet. That should not have to exist. It's very, very, very helpful, but that shouldn't have to exist. I think that the systems these days, I like a system that requires no training. It's intuitive. You follow it through, and then you end with an accurate proposal right there.
Excellent. All right, Whitney, that's really all of the questions that I had for you today. Other than before we close out, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to, or anything you would like to mention?
I would say that as we grow, you touched on it a little bit, but as my agency grows, as the industry evolves, we really do need to be tuned into where are the places that the people and the human touch does make an impact, and where does it just not? And if it's not a value add and tech can be leveraged to do it more accurately, more quickly, more efficiently, that we look at those tools and we do add them where we can. And if it's an area where, we are a relationship business, people, they don't refer you just because of the proposal that you send and the number that's at the bottom. And if there is value to be added by having that human connection, that we try to keep that as much as we can.
Well, Whitney Ricci Insurance Group, really appreciate you taking time to be on our podcast today. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, have a good day. Thank you.